Hello, everybody. This is Dustin. I'm with gamblingonfreedom.com. I'm a hypnotherapist who specializes in problem gambling, compulsive gambling, gambling addiction. And I'm here today to answer some questions about gambling addiction and why people keep gambling even though it hurts them. Right? This is a common question that people have. And I want to talk to you today about what's called the pain versus pleasure principle. Now, this is a principle that the subconscious mind runs on. This is a very important principle, and it is about motivation. So I know there's a lot of fitness gurus out there who like to talk about discipline and willpower and things like that. But the truth is, the subconscious runs on motivation, not discipline, not willpower. Discipline and willpower are very conscious efforts, they're very conscious things. And the subconscious mind runs on motivation. Now, a lot of people get this wrong. Motivation isn't just a feeling. Yes, a feeling is a byproduct of truly what's motivating, but the motivation is the reason, it's the why that you do something. Okay, if you have a strong enough why, then regardless of how you feel, you're going to do the thing. Okay, so pain versus pleasure is a motivational principle, and it almost governs the subconscious mind in a large way. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that and how that applies to why you still gamble, even though you know it hurts you. All right. So I'm going to talk about it in the form of weight loss first, and then I'll apply it to gambling addiction because it is the same principle, but it's easier to understand when you come at it from a weight loss perspective. So you have two people, right? One person likes the gym, they go to the gym all the time, they're there 5 days a week, their lifestyle is congruent to going to the gym all the time, and they really, really enjoy it and they go all the time. And then you have the other person who, they want to go to the gym, they've tried going to the gym, they've put their mindset to it, they're using their discipline and their willpower, they go to the gym for 6 months and then they stop and they go right back to the couch and just eating badly and doing all the wrong things. Why? What is the difference? Well, the difference is that the person who goes to the gym 5 days a week, they love going to the gym, they like it. It helps their mentality. It helps maybe their brain fog. Maybe it lowers their anxiety, their depression. They feel better going to the gym. They like the way they sleep. They have a good sleep schedule. Maybe they prioritize their sleep. Maybe they get 8 to 10 hours. They prioritize their sleep. They prioritize their physical fitness, their attractiveness. Maybe they like other people being attracted to them. Maybe they enjoy that. Maybe it helps them with their business, that whole mental clarity, less brain fog, less anxiety, less depression. Maybe that's why they like it so much. Maybe it's all of them, right? Maybe they like the way they eat. They like the way they eat. They don't mind tracking their calories. Maybe they don't even track their calories anymore because they're in such a good spot with their weight. They don't even have to do that. And they're just maintaining, so they get to eat whatever they normally eat. They're comfortable with that, they're perfect with that. Nothing really needs to change in how they eat. They eat the way that they do, they like the way that they eat, they like the way that they sleep, they like the attractiveness they get, they like the mental clarity, the less anxiety, the less depression. They like the idea of discipline and willpower and having that mindset of I'm very disciplined and have a lot of willpower. It makes them feel uh, uh, impressive, perhaps as an ego thing there, right? So that's why. And it's far more pleasurable to be that way than it is for them to be on the couch, eat horrible, have brain fog, have anxiety, have depression, to sleep bad, right? To wake up tired, to not be attractive to whoever they might be attracted uh, to have less energy at work. All of that stuff is far more painful. So the brain at the subconscious level, the mind, will move away from the pain and towards the pleasure, right? But the opposite is also true. So the person who is sitting on the couch and has done this his whole life and is a gamer, perhaps maybe he's playing video games, or he's maybe they just don't do much. Maybe they just play video games, watch anime, these kinds of things, hang out with friends, eat badly, eat fast food, all these things, right? For them, in order to go to the gym and make that part of their lifestyle, because it would have to be a lifestyle change for it to work, they would have to change their sleep schedule. They would have to change their intake of food. They would have to learn how to intake their food better, maybe track their calories. They would have to overcome the discomfort of instant gratification by, not seeing results in the mirror in 1 month or 2 months, maybe several months later. They'd have to push themselves. They'd have to actually do the thing, create a schedule. They'd have to first deal with perhaps the soreness and the fatigue and the energy drain before they have energy gain, right? So all of that is far more painful now. They have to change their whole life, maybe even get rid of some friends because they can't hang out with them anymore since they're trying to go work out, right? So they lose a lot. There's a lot more pain associated to changing their whole life to do this versus staying exactly where they are, where they have friends and they get to watch anime and everything's comfortable and they get to eat whatever they want and they get to drink whatever they want and they get to live their life exactly the way they want. That's comfortable and good and easy for them. So in this case, the brain is moving away from pain, which is working out and changing my whole life around to get that goal, and moving towards pleasure, which is staying exactly the way I am. So essentially, the desire for the change has to be greater than the desire to stay the same, period, at the subconscious level. It's not just a conscious choice, right? And this is the reason why it's not a discipline or a willpower thing. This person could really, really, really want to change, and they could go to the gym for 6 months, a year, 3 years, and still revert right back to exactly the way they were. And that's only going to happen if their desire to stay the same at the subconscious level was greater than their desire to change. Even if they changed for several years, it's nothing different. It's no different than a smoker who, was a smoker, quit for 2 years, and then went back to smoking. They never actually became a non-smoker. Maybe they stopped smoking for 2 years, but they never became a non-smoker, right? And so this person never became, you know, a gym goer or whatever identity they would want to associate to themselves, this lifestyle that they decided is better for them. They never became that. And because they never became that, as soon as it got tough, life got in the way, things, fell apart for them, they went right back and reverted right back to their identity that they've held on to, which is I'm a gamer, I'm just a normal dude, whatever it is. So this is the thing, right? So this principle governs the subconscious mind in a large way. It's not the only principle, but it's one of the main ones. And our subconscious mind is fueled by it. Okay, it's fueled by motivation. It's fueled by your why. It's not fueled by discipline and willpower. Those are conscious constructs. Okay, it's fueled by motivation. And motivation isn't just a feeling, it's the why. Your reason for doing whatever you're doing is the motivation. Yes, there is a feeling behind that reason, but you still have the reason. If your reason is strong enough, the feeling could be gone and you would still do the thing because regardless of how you feel, you could do whatever it is you need to do if the reason is big enough, right? So uh, I'll give you guys an example. Anybody who's watching this, if you're one of those people who sit on the couch and don't do anything and want to work out and sabotage yourself or go for 3 months and stop, if you're one of those people, I ask you a quick question. If you were Elon Musk rich, $400 billion richer by the end of a 5 year mark, and all you had to do was maintain a 3 to 5 workout schedule every day, every week, 3 to 5 day workout schedule every week, and you'd have $400 billion at the end of 5 years, would you do it? Now, if you're not motivated by money, that might not work for you. But I believe that there'd probably be a lot of people who would absolutely take that deal. $400 billion for 5 years of bettering yourself 3 to 5 times a week. You'd probably do it. So again, that reason the reason, which is $400 billion in my account wired to me guaranteed in 5 years, and all I have to do is, whatever the trainer says, 3 to 5 times a week. That's the reason is so great that of course they'll do it, right? And so it's the reason, the motivation is the reason. And so there's reasons why you gamble. Right? Let's apply this now to gambling. There are reasons why you gamble. Our thinking creates our problems. Okay. Our thinking creates our problems. And so how we think about gambling is going to create how we feel about gambling. And those are going to be your motivations towards gambling. So if you have a lot of positive thoughts about gambling, right, there's times when you're maybe thinking to yourself, oh, I want to get a jackpot so I can get out of this debt. The only way I can get out of this debt if I make a jackpot. I need relief from all this emotional pain. If you've watched my videos before, you know that I talk heavily about how it's an escape of emotional pain, which is pain versus pleasure again. But the idea is I have all these reasons, I have all these whys as to why I should gamble, as to why it's the best option for me, as to why I need to do it, right? And it's a craving, right? So as a hypnotherapist, I work with smokers and drinkers and people for weight loss and all kinds of things. And it's the same thing. It's really the same thing. It's like, okay, so if I have a craving for a cigarette, sure, there's that chemical craving, but after you've stopped smoking cigarettes for, I believe it's 72 hours, all the chemical components are completely gone. There is no chemical craving at that point. And so then it's just mental. Right? After 72 hours of no cigarettes, all the nicotine is gone. All of the chemicals in the cigarette are completely gone. At that point, it's completely mental. It's just, I have positive thoughts about cigarettes. I need a cigarette. I want a cigarette. I like to have a cigarette when I drive to work. I like to have a cigarette when I go on break. I like to have a cigarette when I'm drinking with friends, whatever it is. And that thinking is exactly the craving, right? And so gambling urges is literally just gambling cravings. You have positive thoughts about gambling. It's going to help you. It's going to take away your debt. It's going to clear out how you feel in this moment because you don't want to take care of all the pain and emotional turmoil that's going in within you right now. It's going to help you escape things. It's going to be fun. Maybe you're ready to have a night on the town because your job sucks and you really just want to, have the weekend to do whatever you want to do, right? Whatever it is, whatever you're thinking about gambling, those are your craving thoughts. They start up here. It's like an urge, a craving. You have all these positive thoughts about gambling, and then you gamble. And in the gambling process, you're free. You're free of all the emotional turmoil. You're free of all the negative beliefs and negative thoughts and negative ideas and debt and things like that. And you're gambling, and everything feels fantastic. And if you won, let's just say you won the day, you won the night, and you made out good, you've got a big dopamine spike here. Whereas if you have this big dopamine spike, now you're creating habit, right? So there's several different components here, but the idea is you have these urges, you have these cravings, you gamble, you feel fantastic. If you win, you're going to create a dopamine spike. You won, you got a really good night. And then this is going to create a habit loop by itself. And if you lose here and you lose all your money and you lose your debt, then it's going to create a shame and guilt spiral, which is going to be negative emotions piling up over time until you need relief again. And then you go through the cycle. So if you've watched my videos, I've talked about the guilt and shame cycle. And so the guilt and shame cycle really plays into the pain versus pleasure principle quite well. And the pain versus pleasure principle is simply moving away from pain and towards pleasure. We all do it. Every organism on this planet that is alive will move away from pain and towards pleasure. Now that's not always simple because in in logical terms, it's like, well, how am I moving away from uh, pain if I keep gambling when I know I'm in debt, right? And it's because the pleasure of gambling, of the relief of the negative emotions in that time, is far more pleasurable, right, than the pain of staying with the negative thoughts of I'm in debt, right? And so we move away from the pain and towards the pleasure. And so the shame and guilt cycle really play on that principle in the subconscious mind, pain versus pleasure. And again, you can create a habit, right? So habit creation is another reason why it's so hard to stop gambling. If you've watched my videos, I've talked about the shame and guilt cycle. I've talked about variable rates of change issues, and now I'm talking about habits, pain and pleasure, pain and pleasure principles, and then maybe in the next video I'll talk more about the habit creation and how that actually works, and how you actually truly create a habit, because people get that wrong all the time, right? Going back to the weight loss thing, if building a habit was just doing something for 30 days and then it becomes a habit, then those people who go for 6 months or a year or 2 years would have created a habit, and then that would have been a part of their lifestyle, but it never did, and so they revert back, right? So that's not actually how habits are created. You don't just do something for 30 days and then create a habit. That's not how it works. So maybe in the next video, I'll talk about habits and how you build a habit around gambling. So you have different things that are creating this gambling problem for you. You have a shame and guilt cycle at play. You have uh, variable rates of change issues. You have pain versus pleasure principles in the subconscious mind working against you. You have habit creation, right? And it is a habit. It's more of a habit than an addiction, in my opinion, but it's just a habit. And it's just like, it's just like cigarettes or something like that. It's after the chemical component of cigarettes, 2 3 days of not smoking, it's just simply a habit. It's not an addiction at that point, because it's all gone. The chemical components are out of your body within 3 days. So it's not really an addiction at that point. Anyway, those are neither here nor there. My point is, pain versus pleasure, one of the main principles in the subconscious mind, sort of governs the guilt and shame cycle. And that's how that works. We move away from the pain, we go towards the pleasure. And this is how it works for basically anything, to be honest with you. Anything in the subconscious mind is governed by this principle. Everything is choice at the subconscious level. Your subconscious mind has already chosen that gambling is the perfect solution to all of your problems. So it's going to go towards pleasure and move away from pain. You're here to understand why your subconscious mind has chosen to move towards pleasure, which is gambling, and away from pain, which is all your emotional turmoil. And once you figure that out, once you understand, once you know, once you explore, once you discover for yourself, once you become aware of all the stuff that's actually hurting you and how we can process all those negative emotions out, gambling just stops. Gambling just stops. The urges stop. The desires stop. All that stuff just stops. You come to this state of inner peace around the problem. When you have inner peace around the problem and there's no urge to do it, now you have real choice. You could choose to do it, and you could choose to stop. You could choose never to do it again, and that's perfectly fine too. Whatever your goals might be, I can help you with that. So if this video was helpful, go ahead and click subscribe. I'm going to be putting out new videos weekly, multiple times a week, perhaps. I'm not too sure, but just weekly. And my website's down below as well, www.gamblingonfreedom.com, where I can give free consultations to help you uncover what actually is the problem, because gambling is the solution, not your problem. So if you'd like to figure that out, sign up a free consultation with me, subscribe, like this video to see more just like it, and yeah, take care for now, folks.